Okay, it is time to look at game number 11 from Bobby Fischer's My 60 Memorable Games. It's Fischer versus Benko in the 1959 Candidates Tournament. Now, I am studying the games of Bobby Fischer from his book to the point of memorizing the games. In fact, that is a primary goal that I have, is to memorize the games of Bobby Fischer from his book. I'm using Lucas Chess in order to help memorize the games and also keep track of my score and things like that. So that's what I'll be doing later in the in this video. However, I wanted to look at the opening first of this particular game. There are three Sicilian defenses or three Sicilian games that I'm particularly interested in at the moment. Two have been played by Bobby, and they were both Najdorfs. The player of the white pieces in the one game played bishop to e2, which is the Opasinski variation, and in the other game played bishop to g5. And in this game, Benko is going to play a Sicilian as well, but it's going to be different, and it's not going to be a Najdorf. So let's play the moves of the Najdorf. D6 here. And I say that only because Benko is not going to play D6. And here we go. Black plays A6. Now, you have some very interesting notes over here in this wiki books, and it talks about 5A6, the Najdorf variation. Where does this come from? I think it says here, references Kasparov-Keen, the Batsford chess openings from 1989. And yet this says wiki books, so I'm not exactly sure what the relationship is of them, but this discussion is very interesting, and it tells me something that, well, maybe I knew, but maybe I didn't know. And it says here, 5A6, black's move right here, A6, prepares E5, which is then kicking the knight to B2. Now, this is a misprint here. They don't mean B2, right? The knight cannot get to B2, number one. They mean undoubtedly E2, but that's okay. Because the intermezzo, bishop to B5, check, is prevented. So in other words, A6 prevents bishop to B5 giving check. Now, what happens if in this position, white doesn't do anything to slow down black's playing E5? Well, wouldn't that have been the case in the Opasinski variation, bishop to E2? It is. And look what the database says is played almost 70% of the time, E5. The move bishop G5, it turns out, one of its goals is to stop the move E5. And you see here in the database, 0% of the time will E5 be played now. Well, 0% means there are 34 games out of almost 19,000. So it's very, very interesting. Now, I will point out something else here. Suppose we gave black the move. Well, we can do that in this chess engine. We can just come up here and click this, whatever this button is, and it means, you know, give black the move. You can also just press S, and they call it the show threat button. So I'm going to click it. What would black play if he had the opportunity here? He would play E5. E5 is the move. So that's very interesting. All right, now, what about the Benko game? Okay, let's look at that. It's going to start with Benko playing knight to C6, not D6. Okay, well, let's get into the Sicilian then. And here we are. And over here on the left, again, in this write-up, this wiki books, which I guess is based on Kasparov-Keen, again, from Batsford chess openings, 1989. And it says here, let's talk about the move that has come from non-existence in the early 70s to a place in the repertoire of every super GM and left a generation of chess writers wringing their hands at this crazy E5 move. And then it goes ahead and it talks about the move here. And we look over here into the database and it says 60% of the time, this is in the master database at least, 60% of the time E5 will be played here. And it's called the Lasker-Pelikan variation, although I think it might also be known by other names because apparently it was Sveshnikov who did a lot of investigation into this. This variation is named after the Latvian Grandmaster Sveshnikov. In the various Najdorf lines where black plays e5, he gets his desired pawn structure at the cost of leaving his king's bishop stuck behind a pawn on d6. So there it is. And if you want to have a look at Sveshnikov, then you can come here to Wikipedia and you can investigate that. It says previously known as the Lasker-Pelikan variation of the Sicilian defense, Sveshnikov's system was considered of dubious merit until he transformed it into an exciting and fully playable opening. Well, I just find this quite interesting. So I'm not memorizing opening lines, but I am learning something about them by studying the games of grandmasters. So I'm finding this very beneficial and very interesting. Now, as it says here, this move was not known in the 1970s. It's not going to be known in 1959 either. And so what happens is that in this position, Benko is going to play d6. And one might ask the question, well, if you were going to play d6, why didn't you just play it on the second move? And I think that's a fair question. Now, Fischer is going to play his favorite bishop to c4. And before I make that move, you can look over here in the database. And you can say bishop to g5, the Richter-Rauser, is the preferred move according to the database. But bishop c4 is also an alternative. It is the one preferred by Fischer. If you see this move here, the getting into the Sozin, if you see black now say to himself, maybe I really do want to play the dragon, and he plays g6. So, oh, yeah, sure, why not? You know, he wants to play the dragon. Well, there's a difference here. Since black has taken time to play his knight onto c6, white has had the opportunity to place his bishop on c4. This is an immense piece here, attacking the f7 square. And so if black tries to get into the dragon, then it is quite possible to play this. Knight takes c6, pawn takes, and then we push e5. This is known as the Magnus-Smith trap. And then if we get a well-known trap, which is essentially losing the queen, right? So it's very interesting that, we might look at this and say, well, you can just get into the dragon if you want, or, things like that. No, playing the move, knight c6, and white playing the move bishop c4 definitely makes a difference. You can't get into the dragon. Now over here it says, black could also choose to reply with g6, transposing to a form of the dragon variation, but this leads to the Magnus-Smith trap with a lot of trouble for black. See YouTube for analysis. And that I did. And I went to this YouTube video, and you can find this as well. Fiona Stell Anthony. It's really pretty good. It talks about it. And I think this video series also talks about other traps as well. So anyway, well, I thought that was all wonderful stuff. Now, Let me open up Lucas Chess and let's see if I can replay the game Fischer-Benko 1959. It's a great game. You're going to love it. Hold on. All right, I've opened up Lucas Chess and here is the game. Bobby Fischer versus Pal Benko. Let's see if I can replay it. 1959. Here you can see my training. I started out down here with 6 errors, and I've gotten that down to 0. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Bobby's playing the white pieces, so I will play the white pieces. I see that's a little bit out of frame. I think you can, well, you don't see the... All right, let's do it. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, here we go. Best by test, E4. Not D6. This knight comes on to C6. Bobby plays the open Sicilian. C takes D, knight takes D. Knight to F6, virtually forcing knight to C3. All right, what now? Well, Benko plays D6. So it's what he wanted. So now comes bishop C4. The queen comes out here to B6. Got it? Now, for me, what I would play here pretty much automatically and reflexively is knight to B3. I would just say, well, my knight's under attack. If I try to defend it by bishop to E3, then clearly I'm losing my pawn. So I would just reflexively move my knight until I studied this game, which is that Bobby instead moves his knight down here to E2. Now, you'll just have to wait until you see it. In my opinion, this knight to E2 ought to get a double exclam. This is the move that is the linchpin of this entire game. Without the move knight to E2, nothing else in this game happens. This knight is going to make its way to G3 and then to H5 and eventually on to F6. It's not alone. This knight also is going to make its way to E4 and then to F6. This queen is also going to make her way up here onto H6. It is going to be an amazing attack, but it all begins with this move knight to E2, and it is certainly going to be an idea that I'm going to add into my own thinking and into my own play. I just, to be honest, I just really, I really find this move knight to E2 in light of the entire game to really be an amazing move. Okay, enough about that. Let's go on here. Well, now we get E6. Bobby's going to castle. The bishop comes up to E7. Bobby brings his bishop back to B3. Castle. And now Bobby makes his king a little bit safer. Now, Benko thinks he has developed enough. He's going to begin launching an attack. Now, we are still in book. As far as the chess base key is concerned, this king to H2 kind of ends the key. So it would go, the move before would be as far down into the key. So these games are being played with a book of about 10 to 11 moves. So this knight comes over onto A5, which is a typical theme in this line. But normally white has not put his king onto h1, at least not yet. Bobby says, yeah, go ahead, attack my bishop. And with the bishop coming up here to g5, Bobby seems to have gotten the best of both worlds. This is like a Richter-Rauser and like a Fischer-Sozen attack. So he's got these powerful bishops. The queen comes here onto c5. I suppose as part of a justification as attacking, but really more so to give, at least in Benko's mind, to launch this pawn, to give it room. So here comes the f4. Now the pawn comes up here to b5. Okay, now what? Bobby's not really concerned. I think what he plays here is his knight. This powerful knight is going to come over here onto g3. Obviously will want to get up there, and this queen is going to want to get up there, so it's making way for the queen as well. Now what? Now what? I think he's pushing his pawn. I think Benko pushes his pawn. Yes. I'm remembering now. So we're going to get these pawn attacks from both sides. So b4, but Fischer says, I got more important things, and he's going to play e5. Eventually, Benko is going to take this bishop, but it's not right now. And this knight does not move. Pawn does not come forward. I mean the knight's being attacked. What are you going to do? Right? Yeah. And it is not pawn takes that happens here. It is bishop takes. Now, what I found so interesting about this, because Benko's move didn't make any sense to me. Didn't make any sense. What Benko's getting ready to play. But this is what they thought was the best move. It's not something that I would have played just on principle. But they believe that this move coming up is the best move. The chess engines say that they're wrong. So he plays G takes F. Yeah. I wouldn't play that. Okay. What does Bobby play? Well, his knight's being attacked, so it's not that he doesn't care about the knight, but he had other things to do. So here comes the knight onto e4, attacking the queen. Benko says to Bobby, and he's definitely got the right instincts here, let's trade queens. Bobby says, not on your life. And here Benko, it's hard to, the chess engines are just so unfavorable. But he plays knight takes bishop. And here Fischer plays the top move, queen to h6. And we've got two attackers. And the move here is E takes F because we need another defender. I mean, this is really a simple game at this point. Very simple. Well, two attackers. Here, let me click and get rid of those. Two attackers. Can we add another? Now, wait a second here, though. Bobby throws in another move because this knight is actually attacking this rook here. So Bobby throws in... oh, no, he doesn't. See, I made a mistake. I thought he was going to move his rook here first. Nope, he throws in... No, he doesn't. He plays this move. Ah, yes. So now the knight's attacking there. That has to be defended. Here comes the pawn up. And if you look at this, it's clearly over. There are three attackers here on f6. And it's just not defendable. So the rook now, before Bobby moves his knights in, the rook now does come to d1. Queen backs up. And which knight? It's this knight. This knight because it's blocking the queen. And this knight is supporting the queen coming on to g7. So bishop takes, knight takes, we've got h7, checkmate, queen takes, queen takes. I mean, clearly it's over. Kudos to Benko for playing on for a few more moves. Bobby has a really nice finish here. Yeah. Queen g5 check. Driving away the only defender of that rook. And taking advantage of the back rank, the undeveloped pieces. It's just really a very simple game. Bishop comes up. Bobby says, oh yes, I will take your knight and bishop for a rook. And here the game ends. Well, very exciting game, very instructive play, and great to understand some of the development of opening theory that we see in the Najdorf, the Opusensky variation, the bishop to g5 variation, understanding a6 better, and also, looking at this black play knight to c6, move number 2. Very interesting. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Bye.